Earth, the so-called blue marble, spinning so reliably on its axis each and every day. We humans strut around, confident in our planetary routines, sunrise, sunset, repeat. But let's imagine one of those scenarios that defies our quaint sense of stability. Picture Earth getting tidally locked to the sun, within a single year no less. Doesn't that sound delightful? Yes, dear viewer, in this charming hypothetical, one hemisphere bakes under unending daylight, while the other is cast into a never-ending frigid night. The result? Ecological collapse, mass extinction, and, my personal favorite, global chaos. So cozy up, grab a snack, if you can still find any, and allow me to walk you through your new reality under perpetual day, eternal night, and one rather violent in-between. What is tidally locked? Tidally locked means one side of a planet, or moon, always faces the body it orbits. The classic example? Our moon, tirelessly revealing the same dull face to Earth. But in our twisted tale, Earth becomes tidally locked to the sun, meaning one side gets a permanent front row seat to solar torment, while the other side cowers in perpetual darkness. Now, a normal timeline for such a process is measured in billions of years, if it ever happens at all. But, because we simply adore drama, let's compress that to a convenient single year. After all, what's the point of a slow, boring apocalypse? Here's where it gets truly entertaining. Earth's rotation grinds to a standstill in just 365 days, releasing enough tectonic stress to outshine any disaster movie. Earthquakes everywhere, volcanoes erupting left and right, cities in ruins. Picture all your favorite Hollywood CGI cataclysms rolled into one, except no handy superheroes swooping in to save the day. With entire coastlines getting smashed by tsunamis, supply chains break down instantly. Electrical grids fried or flooded? That online shopping addiction you have? Not exactly a priority during global Armageddon, is it? As Earth lurches into a new rotational state, the atmosphere tries to keep up. Massive storms form, lashing continents, redistributing our diminishing water supply in the most inconvenient ways. One can only imagine the wonderful tweets that would arise if the internet still existed. On the hemisphere locked in perpetual daylight, expect a never-ending assault of solar rays. With no nighttime cool down, the land surface bakes like an overused oven. Lakes and rivers evaporate. Farmland becomes dusty wasteland. Without the usual rotation, Earth's magnetic field might shift in bizarre ways, giving the sun a chance to hurl a bit of extra radiation at you. Delicious. Any semblance of an ecosystem is swiftly scorched. Plant life? Fried to a crisp. Animal life? They either dig deep underground or become barbecue. Sounds almost relaxing, doesn't it? And on the opposite side, in the endless night, no sunlight equals sub-zero conditions. Oceans freeze over, land becomes an ice sheet, and survival becomes a twisted joke. With no sunlight, plants can't photosynthesize. The entire food chain swiftly collapses. Hooray for mass extinction. Sure, you can try to live off geothermal or nuclear power. Too bad nobody's had time to build all the necessary reactors while everything else is imploding. Comfy, right? Looks like your biggest decision is whether you'd rather melt or freeze. Between these two extremes lies a narrow boundary, the Terminator zone, where the sun forever clings to the horizon. You'd think this twilight band would be the logical place for people and creatures to huddle for refuge. So let's see just how friendly it really is. Here, the sun perpetually hovers at a slant, gifting the land with dim, fleeting rays that never quite break into full daylight. Feel free to call it poetic. Just ignore that you're a walking bullseye for savage storms. Some plant species might cling to life here, assuming they can evolve rapidly or have some bizarre tolerance for near-constant wind and low light. Imagine twisted succulents or moss-like plants that enjoy living on the brink of frost and drought. In other words, a wonderful backdrop for your future postcards, if postcards still existed. Please take a moment to join the discussion. Share your thoughts on survival strategies, ethical dilemmas, and how our fragile world might or might not endure this cosmic game changer. Now, back to our regular programming. The day side spews scorching, moisture-laden air that meets the night side's icy, dry blasts in the twilight band, creating a meteorological war zone. Think supercells the size of small countries swirling endlessly along the Terminator line. Rain, snow, hail, maybe even flaming hail if volcanic ash is caught in the mix. Lovely. If you're partial to being electrocuted, the Terminator has you covered. Repeated lightning strikes 24/7. Bring a lightning rod if you must. But don't worry, folks. You wanted moderate temperatures. Just sign this waiver acknowledging you may be violently swept away at any moment. Despite the swirling chaos, the Terminator zone still offers slightly more hope than anywhere else. Hope being a relative term, of course. High cliffs, large caves, or deep valleys might provide just enough shelter from the relentless winds. Within these pockets, some flora could adapt. A few hardy grasses, stunted trees, or genetically modified algae, if humans manage to tinker with them before civilization collapses. Small water sources might form from condensation or from storm runoff, fueling tiny communities of insects, amphibians, or thermophilic bacteria that cling to warm spots. Animals. You might see creatures with advanced night vision or heat-sensing organs to cope with the near-permanent gloom. Maybe they develop thicker fur to brace for sudden cold snaps and specialized exoskeletons for pummeling winds. Plants, low-profile, robust root systems capable of rapidly storing water. Some might even track the faint horizon sun in a slow, perpetual tilt. Could photosynthesis be enough in these dim conditions? Only in tiny increments, just enough to sustain minimal growth. If humans are clever, stop laughing, they might create enclosed structures along the Terminator line, pumped with filtered daylight or artificial illumination to grow food. Underground bunkers or partially sunken cities might shield inhabitants from storms. Venturing to the surface would be a constant gamble, storm-battered, hail-blasted, or freeze-dried by nightside gusts. Let's not forget your friendly neighbors. Desperate survivors from the scorching dayside or half-frozen refugees from the night side, all converging in a pitched battle for very limited resources. So yes, you can set up shop in the Twilight Band, but you'll probably spend half your time outrunning tempest-grade hurricanes and the other half scavenging for scant resources. Sounds like a paradise, doesn't it? Civilization is reduced to fragile enclaves where brute survival replaces lofty goals. Everything from education to medicine reverts to desperate improvised versions unless a miracle technology emerges overnight. And we know how often that happens. Over centuries, evolution might spawn weird new species adapted to permanent day, eternal night, or chaotic twilight. Humanity's role in that new world? If we exist at all, we'll be huddled in ragged bunkers, reminiscing about the good old days when we had something called weekends. So yes, the future might be marginally survivable if you're extraordinarily lucky or particularly well-armed, or both. So, there you have it, Earth's abrupt transformation into a tidally locked circus of extremes. Dayside scorched, nightside frozen, and the so-called habitable band whipped by constant storms. At least we can chalk this up to a fascinating cosmic lesson. That Earth's stable rotation and moderate climate were never something to take for granted. So enjoy your day-night cycle while it lasts, or doesn't. After all, life is short, especially when your planet decides it's time for a radical new spin on things.